Okay. Hopefully, oh, that music might be a little loud. Let's tune that appropriately. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit on a different schedule this week. I got a plan bit this morning, so I pushed back 15 minutes. Hopefully that came through on the schedule. Oh boy, that's loud outside. Sorry. I'm gonna have to close that window. Okay. Yeah, my alarm this morning was a power saw out front. That was really appreciated. Okay. A couple adjustments to the stream this week. We've got the addition of Twitch chat on stream, hopefully. I haven't tested that yet, but if I type a test message, hopefully that comes through. Yes. Oh, it's in a weird spot. It's okay. It's better than nothing. We will we'll take it. So plan for this week's stream. We are going to start as usual with our This Week in Review development updates. We will transition from there over to the Canny board, and then this week's focus after that is going to be a spec that I have not started yet, but I'd like to start with you on stream, putting together a better plan for the groups tab. Well, we have two choices. I forgot to write this down. We're going to choose between rebuilding how the groups tab works and how all the options are presented, or putting together a plan for a more comprehensive in-person tutorial for new players. So we're going to do one this week, one next week. We'll see which one we decide on as we go here. But again, that's going to be the end of the stream. We'll start with our development updates in just a moment. Big week for development. We spent a lot of time on a lot of things. But one really big fix is already live on production. So let's scroll back and get to it. Oop, a couple other things happened while I was away. Okay. Scrolling back, last week was September. No, it wasn't even September. It was the 29th of August. So let's go back to there. Always feels good when it takes a while to scroll. Okay, so the first thing that happened after the stream last week was an update to counting players. So right now we have a weighting system in ranked games where if you are in a game and there is somebody else not in the game, that person who's not in the game is considering matches as they go. But if you are in a game and you are in tier 1 and that player waiting is also in tier 1, that player is always going to wait for you to finish your game so that you will then play together for all future games. So you only wait a single time, but it's making sure that that wait actually happens. So we found that there were some minor timing issues related to games ending and the next game starting. So if you were in a ranked game as a tier 1 player, you would get out of your game and it would be looking with everybody else who's ranked and seeing who it can put you with. But if somebody had selected casual, they would get pulled into a casual game if it needed a substitute. And so when that was happening, you would have, say, 8 players in tier 1, for an easy example. 8 of them would get out of a game. 1 of them would get pulled into a casual game. And then while they're being pulled into the casual game, they are not eligible for matchmaking. So while they were pulled into the casual game, those other 7 players would look at everybody else available, take probably a tier 2, 3, or 4 player, pull them in, and then launch. And then the tier 1 player would get into the casual game and not get into the ranked game. So it was resulting in split queues where you had tier 1 players queued but not getting into games. And this is happening at all levels. It's just easiest to imagine at the top. So we fixed the way that we are calculating the wait times to make sure that it's accounting for people who are going to be available in just a moment. Similarly, spectate and spectate was the other one, where if you're getting sent to spectate, you are not eligible for a couple seconds. So we're counting all of those now. I think that one is not live on production yet, so it might still be happening. There was a bigger fix that we'll get to in a minute that the rest of my week was spent on. But other things before that happened, we had a bug report last week where a player, actually I was in this game. So the game was happening. It was your average 2 a.m. casual game. And all of a sudden, all 8 players disconnected. Oh, sorry, it was a ranked game. All 8 players disconnected. All 8 players were given a void, and then the game ended. And so it was really confusing because the game process didn't crash. The game was still running just fine. All of the players were still connected to the site, no problem, but they were redirected to the homepage, and everybody got a void. So the game knew that they had left, but they all left at the exact same moment. So we pulled up the logs, and the logs were absolutely no help because the logs just said all 8 players disconnected, also all the spectators disconnected, and then the game voided because it had no players. And so it's like, why? Why is this happening? We looked through all the possible things that could cause players to leave a game. We came up with absolutely nothing. But thankfully, Bash knows what he's doing, and he pulled up some of the other logs, which are on the server side of not. So there are logs of the players getting into the game and what happens in the game, basically saying this person disconnected, this person sent a chat message. All the stuff that happens is in one set of logs, but the servers themselves have a different set of logging. So he looked at that logging and found out that there was an update pushed to, the details don't matter, but basically the servers were being upgraded in some capacity, and that update required a restart of all the socket connections that it had. So it just said, I don't care that there's a game going on, we're going to shut this down, send everybody out. But the game didn't get the message. So the game just noticed that everybody disconnected, and it thought nothing had happened. But in reality, those people were disconnected because the game was about to update. So we have a way of scheduling that now so the players will not get kicked during a game that's active. It'll wait and do it when there are no games running. So that's gonna fix that. So it happened. So the funnier story there was that it happened that one night, and we had no idea what was going on. And then it happened again the next night. And we're like, okay, this is a problem. Because one time you can just say, okay, it's a random anomaly, something bad happened, whatever. But 2 nights in a row is a sign that something is wrong. And so what we found was that the servers don't all get the update at the same time. They get them on a rolling basis. So one server restarted one night and one server restarted another night, but the same player was in both of those games. So Hugh is the player who reported this to me. He got kicked from 2 games randomly and got voids for them just because the servers happened to be updating, independent from anything that Tag Pro does for the game. So that's fixed now going forward. You won't see all 8 players kicked anymore, but a pretty funny thing that we had to spend some time on to figure out. So after that, we had a bunch of reports coming in for players who were queued for a long time. Say they were waiting 5, 10, 20 minutes sometimes, and they were hoping to get into the next ranked game. So we're going to keep with the tier 1 example just because it's easiest to visualize. So if you are a tier 1 player, you're supposed to get into games with other tier 1 players. But players who were in tier 1 had been waiting for upward of 20 minutes, and they were seeing that a different game was created with other tier 1 players. So in all situations that we thought we had accounted for, those players should be together, full stop. There's no reason for a tier 4 player to be taking the spot of a tier 1 player if all other 7 players in that game are in tier 1. And so what we found, and this took us a long time, was that for some reason, even though there were players in the joiner and we had logging to show they were in the joiner, they were not being considered for those matches. So trying to figure out why, we were seeing, okay, there are 30 different reasons that a match could get rejected. Maybe somebody hasn't been waiting long enough, or maybe they are in a game and they selected like they don't put me into a different game kind of thing. Like there are all these different options that I'm not going to get into right now about why somebody would not get into a game. So I added all this logging in saying every time a match is rejected, I want to know why this match was rejected so that we can find those players who were supposed to get in and see why they were not getting in. And all those logs came back in, and those players were not in those logs. So we have full confirmation that they were in the joiner, full confirmation that matches were being evaluated for all the players that the joiner thought it had, and then full confirmation that those players were not considered for any matches at all, which made no sense. There's nothing we could do to explain this. So finally, via process of exclusion for literally every other thing that happens between a player entering the joiner and getting into a game, we found a function that is responsible for taking all of the players who are in the game and making every possible combination of them. So for an easy example, if you have 3 players, there would be a combination of nobody, a combination of player 1, only player 2, only player 3, players 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3. So full combinations for 0 to 3 players. You have a decent chunk of those. And what we found was that function was written wrong 7 years ago. And when that function was written 7 years ago in the original implementation of the joiner, it was only considering between 1 and 90% of the possible matches, which means that It was Y Lambda. So that means that for some matches, between 10 and 99% of the possible matches were not actually being considered. So my question was, how did we not catch this sooner? This has been happening for 7 years. How did we not notice that 90% of our matches weren't being considered? And the answer is that it's been casual matchmaking. It's just, it takes 8 players, it puts them into a game. And more often than not, there are enough games happening that if you don't make one, you're going to get the next one in a couple of minutes. But for ranked, when it's supposed to be a specific player, it reared its head because those specific players were not being considered randomly. So it was entirely random whether or not you were getting in or not getting in to a given round of matches being created. And so we dug way into this. I was tearing my hair out putting these logs in and reading through thousands of logging messages. And we were supposed to go through this on stream last week. When it failed, it ended up being 72 hours after that of me just face into the logs trying to figure out what was going on. So we found it and we fixed it. And so my thought was, okay, we fixed it. We're considering all matches. Now it's going to be great. It's going to make matches. So we put the fix in and then everything crashed. And we're like, well, okay, so now what's going on? So we had only changed that instead of considering a small percentage of matches, it was now considering all matches. So nothing should have crashed. But what was happening was when you have, say, 15 players in the joiner, I talked about that example of 3, of 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Now make that 15. You're generating millions of possible combinations when you approach the number 20 people in the joiner. So we were saying, here's this function that works fine. Now we're going to fix it. But we gave it so many possible options that the joiner went absolutely not, and it crashed immediately because it ran out of memory. So we had a different problem to solve now, where instead of having not enough combinations and missing people, we had too many combinations and no way to properly handle all of the information that we needed in a timely manner. The loop that runs through all the available players is supposed to run once every second. It was taking like 8 seconds to run through a single loop. And while that 8 seconds is running, none of the site works because the whole thing is waiting for that one pipe to be cleared, basically. So it crashed everything. It was terrible. We had to roll it back to the broken version because at least the broken version created some games. So that thus began the process of trying to figure out how do we actually address this before it becomes a problem. So we added in a bunch of pre-filtering where we say, okay, instead of taking everybody in the joiner, say those 15 or 20 players, we're only going to take the ones who are available for matches together. Pretty self-explanatory. So if you're in a tier 1 player, only consider you with players down to tier 4. They don't need to be making potential matches with tier 5, 6, 7, 8 because there's never going to be eligible for a match with those players. I'm talking a lot with my hands today. So we got that in. More or less working. We still had to do some additional cutting down of options just to make sure it was not getting the joiner process hung, but that's in now. And so from what we've seen, most of the time it works well. We still have a couple residual things that I talked about a minute ago with like players getting sent into spectate or sent into casual. One thing that happened, I think it was yesterday, we pulled the logs on it to see why. There were a bunch of players who had been waiting for a few minutes and they got sent to a casual match right before a ranked match would have happened and did happen. But a tier 1 or 3 tier 1 players got pulled into that casual match and then were not considered for the ranked match that was created. So the ranked match got created and then those casual players arrived in their game, reconnected to the joiner, and then created a second ranked game. So now you had 2 different ranked games, each with 3 or 4 tier 1 players that should have been together. So that's going to be fixed in the next release. We figured out why that was happening. It's just a timing thing. But fingers crossed, I think I'm comfortable saying that we finally understand everything weird that's been happening in the joiner for the last 7 years because now we're actually considering everything that is supposed to be considered in the joiner. So very exciting week on the development side. That's not everything that happened. That's just that specific thing that happened. That was my week personally. So let's talk through the rest of the stuff that happened as well, and then we can move on to the candy board. But super exciting week in development for Tag Pro. Other things happening. Account merges. We found out that during account merges, for ranked specifically, we take the better field for a lot of different things just to make sure like your old wins come through and your flares are saved for the merged account. But the under the hood sigma value, which is basically the confidence that we have in your skill score, was getting overwritten with the larger value, which for an account that had never played ranked getting merged into an account that was playing ranked, it would keep the skill score of the ranked account, but take the uncertainty value of the never played ranked account. And what that does in practice is it makes it look like your skill score went down. So we fixed that because a player who was in Diamond had their account merged and then went down to Iron, I think it was, and was like, what the hell? So we got that fixed, so that's not happening anymore. We did manually fix their account as well. So then the fix for that is in going forward. We added a way to check the logs a little more effectively for developers. That's a back-end thing. More of me adding more logging and removing logging for the thing I just talked about. Sorting, filtering, all the above. Wow, most of this is just me trying to figure that out. Okay. Oh, we also had some updates to a system. I've talked about this briefly in the past, but in ranked, you have ranked North America, European, Oceanic, obviously. Not a lot of games happen in Europe. No games have happened in Oceania except for one day, I think. But early on, I added a system trying to promote ranked European games if they were possible. So what it does is it takes everybody who's available for a match. It takes anybody in that list who is queued for ranked European games, even if they're also queued for North America, and it puts them at the top and adds a tag that says this player wants to play in Europe, essentially. And then when they get matched, it starts from the player at the top who's going to have that European match, tries to make a match with them, and if it can make one, it sends them off and they're good to go. But because those players are skipping the line, we only want them considered for European games because we don't want a player in Tier 7 North America jumping to the top of the line and creating a Tier 7 game before we have the Tier 1 game. It just messes up the order of everything else happening. But we found that they were also creating problems with casual. So a player who was queued for ranked EU and ranked North America and casual was jumping to the top of the line, looking for a European game, not having enough players, skipping the North American game because they skipped the line, but then still being considered for casual. So now they were getting put into a casual game before North American ranked games were considered, which is part of what I was explaining with 2 different Tier 1 games getting created at the same time. So that fix should be in for the next release, where those players are only considered for ranked Europe and Oceania when they skip the line, and they'll just get into the ranked games when somebody else considers them in the next swing through. So it's no real change except for fixing that bug on the front end, but it was a somewhat complicated back end fix that I was working on. So that's in now. We have a couple other approaches trying to fix the same thing. Server log stuff. We had a fix in for regions. When you connect to the joiner, it's a big joiner week, I'm saying. So when you connect to the joiner, it's supposed to send out a ping. It says, I want to know what my connection is to every server. Every server responds with, hey, this is your connection to this server. And then you order it to make sure you know which one is your best and which one is your worst. But occasionally something gets lost in that transfer. So we look to see, okay, who responded? Who are we expecting to respond? If they did not respond, we just make a fake entry for them and say bad connection, basically. But we found that when we do that, we say bad connection, we forgot to mark the bad connection as the region that it is for ranked. So we were thinking that might be related to some games being skipped. That fixes in now. Wait time bonuses. That was another big thing that we worked on this week. We have a system in place that takes all those players available, and then when it's looking at potential matches and comparing which one is better, it has a couple different things to consider. One is how close are those players in proximity to one another. So for example, if every player is in Tier 1 and it's considering that match against every player in Tier 1 but one player in Tier 2, it's going to take the one with the players in Tier 1 because they are closer in proximity than the player in Tier 2 is. But there's also a wait time check added to that. And that wait time check is basically meant to say, if we're considering all Tier 1 and a Tier 3 and all Tier 1 and a Tier 4, we're going to take the Tier 3 if they have the same wait time, but if Tier 4 has been waiting for 10-15 minutes, we're going to take the Tier 4 player just so more players can get in as time goes on, which I think makes sense. But we had a little bit too much aggression in that system, and we were finding that if a Tier 4 player was waiting for more than 9 minutes, they could actually leapfrog a Tier 2 player, which was just a little bit too aggressive for what we want, especially because Tier 4 players are still getting games pretty regularly because they're the largest tier. So just some tweaking there, making sure that players are only skipping when we really think they should be skipping, so that players are getting games at a high level, but still getting games regularly as well. So it's just a balancing thing. So we spent some time on that, kind of crunching the raw numbers and making sure that was good to go. We had some back-end improvements, just making sure that the code we push is in line with the rest of the code base, just to make things cleaner long-term. We have a fix in for Launcher voids, I can't give you too much detail because this is still active right now, but there is a way players could skirt around the re-queue penalty when they void a game. We figured out what they were doing and we applied a delay to them manually so that they didn't get away with it. But we have a permanent fix for that in the next release now. We have fixes to the direct updates on the leaderboard. So when you finish a game, it's supposed to send an update to the leaderboard that says, hey, I won this game, update my score accordingly. We still had some weird timing issues with that, so we fixed kind of the whole back end on how those get updated to make it consistent from all the different places, because you can get an update from a game, but you can also get an update from a launcher if a player voids a game. So there are a couple different places where an update can come from. So we just standardized how those all work to make sure that it's consistent, and what happened is what you see on the site, essentially. So that should be in for the next release as well. We have a nope, that's the wait time thing again, sorry. Oh, the last game feature is finally done. We're just trying to figure out where to put the icon. I'll probably get some feedback on this after the release goes live, but we have a button added in for the next release where you click it if the game that you are playing in is going to be your last game. So if I'm playing a ranked game and I'm like, okay, I want to be done after this, you can click that button, and instead of putting you back into the joiner and maybe getting another game, it'll take you back to the home page. And that's more of a quality of life thing, because a lot of players want to be done and they're like, okay, this is my last game, but they forget, they get put back in, and now it's like, okay, fine, I'll play this game. But there are other secondary effects of this. So if you are in a casual game and you want it to be your last game, it will also stop considering you for ranked, because right now if you're in casual and you get pulled into a ranked game, you had no way of stopping that before. So now you can click this and say, stop considering me for ranked, this is my last game, and it won't pull you into a ranked game. So that's the front end of it, which is nice. The back end of it, where we are really utilizing it for, is that wait time thing that I mentioned at the start of the stream. So right now, if there are players in a game and players not in a game, sometimes the players not in the game will wait for the players in the game so that they're on the same cycle going forward. If that player is not going to be playing again, there's no reason to wait for them. So if a player says, okay, I'm done after this game, and they're the only one that everyone in the joiner is waiting for, they're going to stop waiting and just go. So it should slightly reduce wait times as well if people are using it. So the only hanging question there is, where do we put that button? And what do we make that button look like? We're currently between top left and bottom right of the screen. Sorry, I don't know if the camera's flipped. Whatever. Top left, bottom right of the screen are what we are trying to decide between. Top left, I personally lean toward, because it's like you're exiting, but you're not like exiting right now. It's just a similar icon. Bottom right, the argument is that there's nothing else down there, so it's easier to separate because it does a different thing. Undecided at this point. If you have any opinions on that, feel free to share. This is kind of the thing where I'm going to wait for the testing session. We will see what people think, and then we'll go with that. If you don't know what that means, join the Discord and opt into the future group testing role. You can get pings when we are testing, which should be pretty soon for the next release. So if that's a thing you like giving feedback on, hop in the Discord. The link is on the bottom of the homepage of Tag Pro, and we'll see you there. Other things that happened this week. A lot of reviews for coding stuff. A lot of reviews. Yeah, so that thing I talked about with waiting for players sent to a game is in. We're adding some stuff. I'm not going to give everything away here, but we're adding some more data to your profile to show your ranked history, basically. So that's going to be in the next release. Also, some updates to the joiner page, so you can see active games and pick if you want to spectate a specific one. We also have the button on the select page where you can select ranked or casual. There's a third button that everyone forgets right now that says spectate. So we're working on a way to just spectate games without being in the joiner, and that's almost done. That's what we were working on yesterday, actually. So that'll be in the next release, where you can click that, see what the games are that are active right now, pick the one that you want to watch, and just watch it without actually being considered for a game while watching. Question in the chat from Jazz. I was wondering if there are any plans to add a clipping feature similar to that old extension that let you clip moments while in game. Yes and no. So short term, no, but long term, yes. The problem with clipping, and this came up, I think 2 weeks ago, Josh was in the chat talking about replays. We don't have replays on the site. We have text files that the game pretends is a replay. So converting those to an actual clipping thing, like it like was done in that script, is definitely a thing I want. It's unfortunately a very complicated thing to do. So yes, just it's the kind of thing that we need somebody to really just dig in, spend some time on figuring out the best way to do it, because it works, but it's very, very slow when it works. So if that's something you want to try to help move forward, reach out to me on Discord. Maybe I'll see if there's some research you could do that might help us move it along. But that's the kind of thing that if Bash spent time on it and he couldn't find a good answer on in like a month, it's probably a pretty hard problem. So hopefully in the future, just not right this minute, unfortunately. Oddball TP says, hi, Cheese. I say hello. How are you? Thanks for joining in. So almost done with development updates. I'm going to keep going here, and then we'll move on to the candy board. We have some updates to policy and also to ranked account deletion. So there are sometimes players will ask to delete their account, which is allowed. You're allowed to delete an account if you're done playing. Whoops. But if you are playing ranked and you delete your account, we don't want you to come back with an alternate account and continue playing ranked. That's just not what the point of ranked is. I just clicked something weird. I don't know what just happened, but anyway. So right now we have a just like a back-end policy where we say we're not going to let you play ranked again, but we have an update to that where now it will actually block you from playing on a Smurf account. So you can't just delete your account to get a free restart over and over, because that would be annoying for everybody. So that's in for the next one. Same thing with merges. If you merge your ranked account into another one, same idea. We'll make sure that anyone who's trying to do this gets an update so they know what would happen if they go ahead with it. So it's not going to be a silent thing. Bloons Water Master says NF when? NF soon. So if you were here a couple minutes ago, we were just talking about some very technical joiner things that we finally worked through. Feel free to go back and watch the replay recording afterward. But we finally figured it out how the joiner works. And so everything that we've been waiting for to get neutral flag in was because we're not really sure why things still aren't working the way we expected to. And we finally figured it out. So now after this release, once we can confirm everything is working the way we expect it to be, we can go ahead and add neutral flag in. Can we add honking? Honking would be lovely. There should be a feedback tab post for honking. Feel free to go show your support on that post. That can always alter how we prioritize things in the future. Yeah, working on neutral flag soon. We have all the stuff in place for that, so we just have to get it actually added in once we're confident. So next up, we had... Oh, was that everything? That might have been everything. Sorry. Yeah, it was deletion stuff, then it was the ranked history stuff, the spectating thing. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, so other things that have been happening in the background, a large conversation related to flares for ranked, when to award them, what they look like, all of that stuff. We are mostly done with that conversation. I can't show you what they are just yet. It's going to be a surprise, but I can tell you that there is a special flare at the top, 1-1. 1-2 is distinct but similar. 1-3, again, distinct but similar. Tier 2 is like a slightly less cool version of all the Tier 1 with a different color. 3, 4, 5 are a different shape entirely. And then 6, 7, 8, a different shape entirely, different colors for each tier. So I personally think they're really, really cool. I'm excited to show everyone what they look like. So we're just kind of finalizing the conversation, making sure we are happy with the look and the feel of those flares. So those are going to be up. They will be awarded for Season 0. So if you are somebody who is playing and you are wondering if you're going to be rewarded for it, you will be earning a flare at the end of Season 0. So don't stop now. We are adding pretty soon the... how do I summarize this? The thing we talked about on stream 3 or 4 weeks ago about inactive accounts, removing those. So if you are on the border of not playing a lot, play more if you want that flare. Hope it's a golden glizzy. I will have an update for you on a hot dog flare probably in the next 2 weeks. There's a good chance that's going to go with this shop. I can't tell you more than that at this time though. So I think that covers everything from a development standpoint that's been going on. It's nice that I can talk for half an hour about development stuff from just a week. That's a good feeling. We've been really productive this week. So hopefully we can keep that going, get this release finalized, because this is a massive release. I mean, let me just pull up the list over here for a second. in the next release, we have 32 individual features, no, 33 individual features, things that are like unique things that we need to talk about. And that's not even including the bug fixes that have gone in. So it's a pretty sizable one that we've been working on for a while now. So excited to get that out and run it. So switching gears, let's move over to the Candy Post. Quiet week on the Candy board. Only had 3 different things come in, so we can talk through those real quick. And by the way, is there any interest in themed events? We haven't gotten any in 2 years, and I have some ideas. Absolutely. Let me just ban this person in the chat trying to do something I don't want. And then there we go. Okay. Yes. So events are a thing we need to talk about pretty soon. I am the bad guy on that one. I put a pause on events. I said no more events. They're slowing down development progress too much, not giving us the return that we would need to make up for the lack of development progress. So while we are working on the big three being ranked, which is just about done, in-game shop, Steam release, no more events while those are being worked on until we can get them done. When they are done, absolutely. So we have an ongoing list right now of possible event ideas that I have. It's on Discord, just in the future group chats. So if you have an idea for an event, more than happy to hear you out on that, either here or in my DMs on Discord. Feel free to send that along. We're definitely considering things, just not prioritizing them until the game is live on Steam and we can go back to having fun and all that. So, Jazz, subscribe for a month. Thank you very much. I don't know if I have any rewards set up for you. Hopefully there's something you can do with that, but appreciate that. So moving over to the Candy board. You'll also feel free to submit a Candy post if you have an event idea. We do look at these every week on Fridays. If it's a good idea, we will bring it over to the Discord channel and save that. So without further ado, scoreboard keybind from Karasu. I would like to be able to rebind the show scoreboard key from escape to something else. I think that's entirely reasonable. So I think we can make this scope a little bit larger and just make sure that rebinding every key is a thing that you can do, probably. But we could start at least with the escape key. So let me just see if we have any other key binding things open before I make a new one. Looking up the words keybind and remap, I'm not finding anything, so we can make a new issue here. Allow remapping of all in-game key press options. We currently offer remapping in the profile settings for movement keys and rolling bomb. We do not offer remapping for text key, like typing keys, like your enter for messaging, your G for group chat, and like none of those have remapping right now. Any text focused keys or the escape key to display the scoreboard. Offer the ability to remap every in-game action to a key press of the user's choosing. I don't know how hard that is to implement. The key binding stuff that is in now was originally built by Electro, and that was 3-4 years ago. It's been a while since anything rebinding has been done. On a more personal level, I know that this has been highly requested by the mod and moderator teams, because when you want to type in green chat and warn somebody, you currently have to press M, I think, for a mod, but then moderators had to use R because M was taken by, like, monitors can't use M because moderators took M, so monitors have R, and people just like, this is a dumb key to be pressing to warn somebody, so they want to be able to remap that. So basically anything that can be used, I think it'd be better if anybody could pick what they wanted it to be, and that makes perfect sense to me. So for this ticket here, we have a relevant Candy post. Relevant Candy post. Let's pull that up real quick here. Scoreboard keybind. Here we go. Relevant Candy post right there. So we expanded the scope slightly, so let's just update that here. We'll say planned. I should have checked to see if there are any other canning posts with the same thing. We'll check that afterward. Ticket for remapping all in-game key press options, including escape for the keyboard. Has been submitted internally. I forgot to prep my message. Has not yet been assigned to a developer. Will be included when time allows. Okay, that's good. Good suggestion. Semicolon and apostrophe can finally be reclaimed. Yes, it'd be good to get people those back. Oh, also the music keys. I should add that in as well. We have, for those who don't know, if you are listening to a song on Tag Pro and you don't like it, you can press the period or the comma to skip ahead or back to the next song. So let's say text focus keys, music keys, or the escape key. So I think getting that in there would be good. Also, in addition to just allowing people to remap them, it also gives a nice clear spot to see what buttons do and what they are, because not a lot of people know about stuff like that, or the semicolon being a chat button as well. So I think it'll be good to have that kind of displayed somewhere for everyone to see. So that was a good suggestion there. We've got looks like Pingu got to this one before me. Very high rank equals flare, Tag Pro flare. They are tagging pros. I imagine the effect that the Tag Pro pup gives around the ball as the flare, except with an empty center. So a blazing green hollow circle. That's kind of cool. So when the flares go live, we are going to have them all displayed right here. So we're going to show them right now. They're just question box because we weren't sure what they were going to be. But these are all going to be replaced with the actual flare is. So Oddball, you just learned you can skip. Well, glad to have shared that information with you. Yeah, it's a good. Sometimes you're just not feeling a certain song, you know? What's your favorite song? My favorite song is it's Shift, the one that's got the... I'm not going to try to sing it. It's the one that's it's got like a cello and a piano, and they're kind of like dancing with each other a little bit. And I always like that one more than the others. But yeah, anyway. Also, if you don't know about that, there's also the Tag Pro Music GitHub thing. If you just Google Tag Pro Music, you should find a site that looks just like this, and you can find all of the songs that are currently on the site, including the most recent ones. This is updated automatically, so all songs for Tag Pro have. Alrighty, She Likes It by Marty Moo. Yep, that's a classic one. So all good. I think Shift's the name of the one that I like. Maybe it's not Shift. That'd be embarrassing. There it is. Yeah, Shift. Yeah, boom. Okay. Anyway, moving on. We've got this guy. So we are currently working on ranked flares, says Pingu, as well as color schemes. Yeah, so that's all good to go there. Indicate that save has been earned. If a player earns a save, add a message to that player at the end of the game. I sometimes forget what the score was when I joined a game late, so I'm not sure if I got a save without checking my profile. Okay. So this suggestion is for the player who earned the save to get the notification. I think actually it'd be more fun if the whole lobby got the notification. What do you guys think? Like if you said Sphero Agnew saved the game or congrats or something like that, would that be good, bad? Trying to think what the wording would be on that. Sphero, let's make a new issue for this. Cheese Doodle saved the game. Is that too boring? I don't know. I feel like I want it to be longer, but I also don't want it to be like this giant block of text either. If there, oh, okay. So let's write the actual spec first. Notify a lobby when a player has earned a save at the end of a casual game. If a player won the game and earned a successful save attempt, send a chat message visible to all players stating player save the game. If more than one player saves the game, I would say probably keep them in the same chat message, right? Assuming, yeah, you and me, Grant. If there's more than one player earned a save, join their names together. EX, Cheese Doodle, and Grant saved the game. Whoops, what have I done? There we go. Ah! I got fat fingers today. I don't think I need any more detail. This gets the point across, right, for a developer? I think that's pretty straightforward to add in, because we already have that check happening. So it'd just be a matter of adding a text message when it comes back true. So that's easy peasy. Let's say yes. Ticket to notify all players in a lobby when a save was earned for any player has been submitted internally. It's not yet, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. Good suggestion. Thank you, Sphero Agnew. I never know how to say this. Is Agnew? Agnew? Sphero Anu? I don't know. That guy. Good suggestion. Thank you. And that's it. We only got those 3 this week, so that's all. Bad feature request idea. Send the inverse message when someone fails to save. Grant failed this save attempt. Womp womp. Just actually take away a degree every time just to make sure. Good. Okay, so that's good to go there. So now that is it for candy stuff. Try to get more of these in. We are going to at some point go back through and clean this up because there are still some that I've missed. Whoops, shouldn't have shown that. Yeah, there are a couple blank ones here that I'd like to get to, but yeah, this would have to be an event to do that. I talked about this on stream before. Yeah, a lot of these I'm just not really sure how to respond to. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, well, one of these days we're gonna go through these, but that's gonna be a day when we don't have an actual plan for what to do for today. And I'd like your help deciding this now. To the 6 of you watching this, we have 2 choices for what we spend the rest of this stream working on. We can choose between building a front-to-end plan for an interactive tutorial for new players. So kind of everything that would happen to them when they click play now. Sorry, click play tutorial, we'll say. What happens? Do they get put into a game? What happens in that game? How do we kind of guide them through that and all that? That's option number 1. Option number 2 is that we work on a new way to resurface or present the groups page. So just to give you a visual with that, if you are in a Tag Pro group right now and you are playing private games, you've got all sorts of just stuff to pick from. There's no real consistency in how it's oriented. You've got some things with drop downs, you've got some things with checkboxes. It's just kind of a mess. So rebuilding how we do all of this is a thing I've wanted to do for a long time, just to make it a little bit more consistent and clean. It might be like a pop-out modal. I'm not really sure. So that's option number 2. So we got to pick between tutorial or that, and that's what we're going to spend the rest of this stream on. But a question in the chat we have is, are there any plans for adding the hold overtime feature to casual? Yes. So clutch time is the name of what you're describing there. Clutch time, for those who don't know, is at the end of a game, and this was added down here in the experimental settings before it was added as its own. You have 4 different options. The enabled winnable only option is what is added into ranked games right now. So when enable winnable only is selected at the end of a ranked game. If your team is losing by 1 cap and your team is holding a flag, the game does not end until that flag carrier either pops or scores. If they pop, the game is over. If they score, the score is now tied and the game goes to overtime. So the question in chat is, are we adding that to casual in addition to ranked? And the answer is yes, we are planning to add that, but we are not adding it until one last tweak is done with it, which is that the scoreboard timer is a little bit confusing right now. So the way it works now, once clutch time starts, clock goes to 0, it starts counting back up in green, and that is the clutch time clock, or whatever you want to call it. We are changing that because when the clutch time clock ends, say it goes to overtime, it currently resets back to 0 and starts counting again. And this got very, very confusing with power-ups, because if you had a power-up grabbed at, say, 50 seconds in regulation, and then there are 30 seconds of clutch time, now your power-up spawned at 10 seconds of clutch time, but the next time it spawns is going to be at 30 seconds of over. It's a mess. Basically, you can't keep track very effectively when the next pop is going to be. So we're going to scrap that idea, and we're going to have the clock just be consistent. So when the clock goes to clutch time, it starts counting up. If it transitions to overtime because they scored, it just keeps counting up, and the color changes from green to yellow. That way, it's a lot more straightforward to keep track of power-up times, and it'll be a lot less confusing for casual as well. That was the other thing. So I think clutch time as a feature, love it. I built it myself. I was really happy with the suggestions that we got to improve it after it was put in, because the original implementation was dicey. It was confusing. So there was some good feedback on that I was happy to get. And so, yeah, I want to bring that to casual. I just want to make sure it's actually ready for everyone to understand it from the start. So you never noticed that? Yeah, it's not something you notice unless you're really keeping track of pup times, and ranked kind of manifests there. But I didn't think I'd like it much, but now I miss it in casual. I'm happy to hear that. I think it's a good, it kind of makes the ends of games more intense when they're close. So if it's like a blowout game, it doesn't really change much. It actually makes it a little bit slower because the team can just shut things down when they're up 2 with a minute to go. But for games that are close within 1 cap, I think it really makes things more intense, and you can't kind of sit on your laurels if you're only up 1 with 30 seconds. So yeah, so that, yes, plan is yes, short answer. We'll get that in soon. So I'm not seeing any opinions on the tutorial versus group thing. I'll give that another minute while I have like 6 different pings that I've got in the last 5 minutes. Hopefully nothing's on fire. But drop any opinions you got there. And Grant's dipping out early today. He hates me. He hates me. I think an interactive tutorial would be good. I see a player going, I don't know what I'm doing, once or twice a week. Yeah, so the reason I added this to the list, I was originally planning to just do the groups thing and call it good. But yesterday, a player was streaming Twitch on the homepage. I forget what their name was. I'd like to shout him out. But what was that person's name? Darn it. I'm going to find it real quick just because they were a nice guy. So he was streaming on the homepage. He's like, hey, check out this like weird game I found called Tag Pro. And a couple of us joined the stream because it popped up on the homepage. And it was fun. He was a nice guy. So he said he was going to maybe be back in a day or two. But this stems from he joined and he was like, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. He didn't know like what 2 flag was. Where do I bring the flag? Like very reasonable questions for a new player to be asking. But it kind of shed new light. Not that we didn't know this, but it shed new light on how confusing it is for new players when they get to the game. And obviously an interactive tutorial would be a good thing to have. So the name was Drusta. Here we go. And I think his Twitch is the same thing. That's his in-game name, at least. But yeah, nice guy. Hopefully he'll be back streaming a little bit and we can get him up to speed and all that. But he's 1 degree if you see him. And yeah, so Mex. Mex was streaming last night too, yes. I think he understands the game though. Probably. A weird bug last night at Ranked. It put Griff in 2 different ranked games last night. Huh. Well, that's not ideal. Let me pull up Griff's account real quick. Forget what she's using the name I don't know if everyone knows what her rank name is. Put into 2. Do you know what time that happened at, Jazz, roughly? Ritual, yeah, Ritual. Let me see. Okay. Well, while you're checking on that, let me just yeah, interactive tutorial will be good. Yeah, I think so. So back to the main thread there, I think working on a tutorial that players can click and say, okay, more than just watching the video that we have, I think the video is good, but it's not a replacement for actually just playing the game. So I think something that we could do to just at least have a plan for it. I'm not going to promise that we can build it right now, but planning what we would do when we build that interactive tutorial, I think is a good way to spend our time today. I feel like going the wrong way in neutral flag is the most obvious common new player mistake. Yeah, and we got a lot of complaints to the mod team for this, because if you're a new player and you join into a capture the flag game, everyone's like, okay, go grab that flag and bring it back. So you do that, and then you get put into a neutral flag and you go grab the flag and you bring it back. Well, now you just went the wrong direction. So it's an interesting dilemma, because one setting you go there and back, the other setting you're supposed to just go there and keep going that way. You're not supposed to come back. So, and they don't know what portals are, so it's kind of hard to say, oh, you go that way and then just teleport back. They don't know what that means. So I think kind of forcing them to go through little challenges that would see what these different elements do would be really helpful for them. I was happy to see on that stream that he was using a non-standard texture pack. He was using one of the other options that we have. And that means that the new player onboarding is working, because he looked through the list and he picked the one that he liked. So that was good, but we could definitely go a step further and be interactive. 12:23 a.m. Let me just pull that up real quick on my side, and I will let you know what I see real quick. I assume that's Eastern time. Is that a fair assessment? Here it is. So it looks like she joined a launcher. Oh, that's weird. Hold on. Yeah, she joined a game on Audacity. She joined a launcher for Audacity, and then after the game, she joined the red team. Did this game actually happen? Game started. It went to clutch time, so it ended. Yeah, and the game ended at 12:31. But when the game ended at 12:31 and started at 12:22, so 22 to 31, she voided a different game at 12:23. So she joined a game, joined a launcher at 12:22, joined a game at 12:22:41, played that game, and while she was playing that game, she also was matched with a different launcher at 12:23:23, which she never joined because she was in a game, obviously, and voided that. Yeah, that's very much a bug. Let me make a note of that real quick, and I will spend some time later today looking at that. Ritual matched with ranked game at 12:22:11, went to game at 12:22:41, played the game until 12:31, but also voided a different ranked game at 12:23:23. That's super weird. Okay, that has to be a case of somebody being duplicated in the joiner for some reason, so I'll definitely spend some time. You guess the joiner really is the most cursed part of Tag Pro? You have no idea how cursed it is. I looked at the joiner for the first time a little over a year and a half ago. Many developers on the team before me have looked at the joiner and gone, absolutely not. And that was the reason we had so many problems with it to this day. So we've finally gotten to the point where we pretty much understand all of it. The launcher is a slightly different case because it's not entirely integrated with the joiner. But yeah, the joiner is a behemoth of a thing. Did I learn coding because of Tag Pro? Kinda, yeah. I got moved. I'm from the Boston area. I got moved down to New Jersey for one of my clinical rotations during grad school. and I was kind of stuck with a lot of free time, and also on the future group and all that at the time. And so I decided I was going to learn how to code. So I picked up some learner JavaScript courses, tried to figure out what was going on. Seemed to get a grip on it pretty well, and then I joined the dev team, and now I'm here. So I guess I did learn coding for Tag Pro. I could do more with it than just Tag Pro, but yeah, that was something the catalyst for learning it, just because it was a thing I didn't know, and I like learning, and now I know. So anyway, for the plan for today, so let's get to it. We're only an hour in, so we got some time here. We're going to make a plan for an interactive tutorial. We're not going to build it right this minute, but we're going to build the plan for it so that when we get to that, we can have a good idea of what new players need to know and need to see in a brief format before they join their first game. So I'm going to pull up a nice fresh Google document here. And let me zoom in a little bit so people can see what's going on. So let's see, plan, build an interactive new player tutorial, which can be loaded into and played as a regular game before they enter their first real public game. Okay. Bloomsborne Master says you are a top 100 great player, Cheese. Top 100 ranked player maybe, but definitely not all time. I don't know. Did you saw that list? I assume that Fender put out recently. So that's good content right there. Good content. So let's start with some basics. We're gonna say things new players need to know, and then we can kind of go through this checklist to make sure we got everything. So I think first thing, objectives. CTF versus NF. That's vague enough. Elements, specifically boosts, bombs, power-ups, portals, spikes. Anything else that's like super critical? Yeah, I think walls is pretty self-explanatory. Although they are in the video tutorial. Timing, portal cooldowns, pup, boost, bomb cooldowns. I think objectives and scoring is probably more accurate here. All right, what else does a new player need to know? Positions, offense, defense, team tiles, good point. That's important. What power-ups do, what each power-up does. So let's just go in a little more detail here. Tag Pro, pop enemy players who do not have the flag. And this is one of these things where it's like, it sounds really straightforward to us, but also think about the fact that they don't know that you can get popped. Like they don't understand that having a flag means that you can be popped. So when you say a Tag Pro lets you pop somebody when they don't have the flag, that don't have the flag thing is an extra qualifier they probably don't need. So I'm actually going to get rid of this and say pop enemy players. I know I just kind of argued with myself there, but pop enemy players, gates, absolutely. Buttons, oh god. So, rolling bomb is survive when otherwise popped, or spacebar. Juke juice is probably the easiest one. Accelerate fast. Sorry for the auto mod. There haven't been any ads, by the way, right? I think I turned off all the ad stuff after last week, but if you see any, let me know. Gravwell, I assume. Yeah, I think Gravwell we can keep away. Mars Ball is probably not worth. It's a bouncy wall. I think they'll figure that out on their own. Yeah, they're definitely some dummy balls. I think it's very easy to program. something that's just like move this toward that location, and we can work around that limitation for now. Superman Puppy. I don't think we're going to worry about the naming conventions of stacked power-ups just yet. Okay, so let's see. What else are we missing in terms of overall game theory stuff? Buttons. Buttons work with bombs too. That's going to have to be clarified. Yeah, that should be up here. Objectives and scoring. Actually, maybe that's more of an offense-defense thing. Regrab. Like what are the bare minimum? What do you need to know to play offense? I think it's like for defense, don't let enemy grab flag, chase if they do anyway. And then for offense, it's grab enemy flag, wait on regrab when teammate has flag. I think that's kind of the, like, yeah, I wouldn't try to get much more detailed than that. Blocking is good, but it's like, I don't want to teach like blocking theory. That's like, we could do like a higher level tutorial for sure if we get this out of the way. And we're like, okay, you got the basics of it. Do you want to actually be good at the game? And then we can offer like a blocking tutorial, things like that. I think that'd be fine to do. But I think for now, starting with just what do you need to know to not completely be lost and ruin the game that you're in. Grab the flag if your teammate has the flag. Wait with the flag. But also for positions, we have to talk about neutral flag as well. So this whole thing needs to be shifted slightly. CTF has offense and defense, but neutral flag doesn't really have offense and defense. So now our positions and objectives have kind of bled together, but whatever. Flag carrier and then non-flag carrier are probably the two that I would talk about for neutral flag. So yeah, handoffs are, I guess, is like, I feel like with neutral flag you want to just focus on like bring it that way. like don't go this way, just go that way, please. Like they'll figure out the rest of it as you go. I feel like go to opposite side end zone, block for flag carrier, don't get in the way, chase enemy flag carrier. Like I feel like the details past that are fine. You just want them to know like this is when you go that way, this is when you go that way, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, handoffs, like even like players who are not new, like 30-degree players, still struggle with handoffs sometimes. So I'm not sure, is that really worth bringing up right from the start? Like I want to make sure it's just like a basic, like this is what you need to know. And even for things like, I don't know, like spikes, like do you need to know like what boosts are and spikes are? Like will you figure that out? Will you not figure that out? Like I think that's what we need to decide, that kind of stuff. Do you need to know that there's usually portal to get you back to your side? Yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing to add in. I think I've broken this down horribly. I'm just going to make this objectives and scoring. And we're going to scrap the first bullet point. Flag carrier, non-flag carrier. I think that can be here. Portaling back to defense via team portal. Hopefully you all say via too and not via. I don't know what it actually is. I'm just gonna go with via. Spike to reset the flag. Like yes, but yeah, is that too high level? Like we just want them to know where to be. Like I want them to know how to do that, but do we need them to know how to do that? Is the question that we need to ask. And we can add it in and always scrap it later. That would be for flag carrier. spike if under pressure in danger. Like, I feel like if I can't explain it in like 5 words, it might be too high level for what they're trying to do. But we'll put it in there for now. We'll see. We'll see what people decide on. That. So back to capture the flag for a second. When you're on offense, you want to grab the enemy flag. If your teammate has the flag, you want to wait, and then you want to bring it back to your own flag. Just to know, you go there, you come back to here. Go to opposite end zone, spike if under pressure and danger. That's fine. Same thing, like we could bring up handoffs here, but that's the same thing where I'd probably wait for that to be at a higher level. Next steps tutorial kind of thing. Who keeps pinging me? Stop that. Okay. Defense. How do we teach defense? Don't let them grab chase if they do anyway. Does that get the point across? Any way to make it clear that your flag needs to be in base to cap? Yes, that's very important. Thank you. Own flag needs to be in base to successfully capture. That's definitely one that trips up new players quite often because they get the flag. They're like, where do I bring it? They bring it back to the flag tile. Nothing happens. They think that must be the wrong place. And now they're wandering around looking for where to bring the damn flag when they had it right the first time. So I think that's definitely a thing that needs to be clarified from the start. Okay. So now timing. How important is it to know the boost spawn after 10 seconds? They have timers on for new players. I don't think it's that critical. Is there anything timing related that needs to happen? I think that portal cooldowns are the least intuitive of that. The other ones, like you can mention in passing that they respawn, but I think that's the kind of thing you figure it out. You wait a while, they flash a little bit, then they show up. I feel like that is mostly covered in the base game. Yeah, I think for portal cooldowns though, like inactive versus active portals, exit versus entry portals when they change, and when they change from one to the other. Pups feel like the most important boost bombs you can kind of stumble into. Okay. So let's take power-ups. Every 60 seconds. The problem with that, from a tutorial standpoint, is you don't want them to just sit there waiting for 60 seconds while to show, oh, it takes a minute. Like you want to make sure that you have to do something while waiting for those 60 seconds to happen to see that they show up again, I guess. Yes, I'm imagining you had them, okay, grab the power up. Now wait 60 seconds. And they're just kind of sitting there like, why am I here? But yeah, I think if we can have them do something else while waiting, that makes sense. They don't start, yeah, so knowing that they start delayed, and then spawn every 60 seconds. I think that's correct. What else? Elements. We're going to say that boosts and bombs you can probably figure. It's good to know what they do though, like how to use a boost to roll over it. It'll take half a second to do that. Yeah, I think I'm fine keeping all of these as things that we just have them see real quick. But all right, how do we? Yeah, agreed. So how do we transition this into the actual thing? So let's keep this here as a reference to come back to. So we say it starts with, keep in mind, we can change, it doesn't have to be just a regular game lobby. We can make it custom. We can do things that you can't do in normal games here. So start from a play tutorial button. We'll figure out where later. player loads into a map on the server closest to them. It's probably like a private settings thing. I'll figure that out later. We'll just say that for now. So would it be a single map or would it be a dynamic map? Like, would you like have them be on a map and then put them into a different setting to show different things? Or would you have it be one map with all of the things that they need? Just know if you screw this up, you're confusing the generations to come. This isn't going to be finalized right now. I'm imagining, but thank you, Grant, for the help. I'm imagining you have a big space with a bunch of map elements to try out at some point. I think it needs to be a little bit more guided than that. I don't think we can't just be like a free-for-all, like, oh, go find out what these things do. I think it has to be like, here's a chat message that says, you need to hit this boost. And then it waits, and then they hit the boost, and then they can see, oh, the boost moves me, with a little bit more after that. Like, it has to be very methodical and very, very targeted in what we're trying to do with each thing that we tell them. Otherwise, like, you shouldn't be able to get off course. Like, it should be like a proximity check if you're too far out of the way or something like that. But like, how do you do that without making it confusing? I guess you would just have spikes. Yeah, okay. I think it has to be, correct me if you disagree with this, but I think you have to have like a central hub and then a portal system where it's like there's only one active portal at a time and they have to go into a portal. It takes them to a little box where they can only do one specific thing and they can't get out until we activate another portal. And we can activate that via custom logic, so that's fine. But I think that would allow us to make it a much more concentrated, where they can't just wander around and do whatever because they're in this one little confined space where we are showing them one specific thing that's going to happen in there. And I think that would get the point across clear. I think one map with a few different areas, start off with flags, you cap to move. Yeah, so exactly. So you would have one where they join in on a miniature version of a map and they have to go grab the flag and bring it back, and then the portal opens up and they can go back, kind of thing. And we just keep doing that for all the different stuff that we need to show them. And that probably works. It works enough for me to write it down now. If we hate it, we can always write something else later. So let's say custom map with custom logic. Player loads into a central hub, similar to the what's the name of that mini game that we have? That's what's it called? Dad made it. It's the you know what I'm talking about? It's the one where it's like all the different little. It's exactly what I'm describing. It's just that, but with like challenges instead of. Yeah, the ones two. Yeah, it's what's the name of that map? I just want to have as a reference point. I don't know if I can find this. None of these. Holy cow, Dad's been busy. I don't think any of these are what we're looking for. It was a pretty recent. I can't for the life of me remember what the name is. Maybe it's on tagpro.eu somewhere. Whoops. Let me see if they're like overnight. If there were like a mini game played or something, we could see. It would have been early. Skee ball. Boost hub? Yes, there it is. All right, we got it. Boost hub. So you can see it, you spawn into the middle here, and you have portals for different difficulties, and it shows you can go. So you go through a portal, it puts you here, you have to do a thing and get out the portal to come back to here. And then the caps that you earn or whatever are your reward. But so not this exactly, but the same concept where the player loads in to a central map area where the yellow is, but instead of having all the portals open, we use custom logic, whatever, to just have a single portal open that they have to go through, that takes them to a challenge where it's like, okay, you're in this little box. It's surrounded in walls and spikes. You have to grab a flag, bring the flag back. And then they can see, okay, you grab it, you put it here. That gets the point across well enough. Same thing with a neutral flag to an end zone, with a boost, with a ball. Like, just all the different things they need to know in a condensed format, hopefully. Nothing that takes more than a couple of minutes to complete. I think that works well enough. And then once they complete that challenge, you open up the portal and they can go back. So let's pull up the actual map here. It's called Boost Hub. There we go. Oh, it's by Bali. That's why I didn't find it. Similar to the Boost Hub map. So with only a single portal available, going through the, so then we can break it down here with portals. So first portal, entering a portal, the exit portal is disabled until the player completes a challenge on the other side, at which point they can return and a different portal is open. So that way, first portal, we can break it down by portals. So what's the first thing a player needs to know when they are trying to figure out how to play this game? So we can say, back to our list here. I think you probably want to start with the most basic, grab the flag and bring it back. Neutral flag, capture the flag. If you disagree, drop a message, but I think we can say that small version of a classic map, thinking like a mini market kind of thing. Like you got, like there are maps like these where they're just miniature versions. I think we take a map like this and we take out all of the elements. So it's literally just the walls and the flags, and they have to, I put the portal here or something. They spawn in, they have to go down, grab the flag, bring it back. I think that is probably clean enough. The exact map doesn't matter too much right now. Like any haste. Oops. But with all non-wall, non-flag elements removed. Chat message states you are on the blue team. Grab the enemy flag and bring it back to your own. If you don't like the wording there, let me know. To capture the flag. I don't think there's no need for a time limit, right? The game just, like, they could sit there if they wanted to. I guess it doesn't really make a difference to me. They would time out with AFK if they left the game. Exit portal remains locked until the player grabs the red flag, brings it back to blue, and captures it. On capture, chat message, return back, return to the main lobby, return what? Use the portal to return to the start. How's that? All right, no one's complaining, so I'm gonna go with it. I think that's good. Second portal. Probably neutral flag, same idea. To an end zone. Put an additional message after a capture to pass through a team portal, which takes them back to the start instead of using the exit portal that they entered through. Does that make sense? What I'm going for there? So with the capture the flag, they join in a spot that we choose. They capture it, they bring it back, they go back through the same portal. But with neutral flag, we force them to go through the team portal just to show them that that's also a portal. It will also take you where you want to go. Or is it better for that team portal to take them back to the start where they joined in, where they can go through another portal to go back? Does that, like, which one of those is better? Alternate. So see the alternate, yeah. So either they take them back to the center. My concern is that might be a little bit misleading because you want them to take the team portal so that they know that it brings them back onto defense on the other side of the map. If you just take them back to the start, you're not really getting that point across. You're just kind of moving them along in the tutorial, which is fine. But if you bring them back to the start, now they'll see, oh, that brought me back to this side of the map, and it kind of reinforces what that portal is doing a little bit more. I think I like this one a little bit more than the other one, but we can leave both as options and move on. Third portal. I go with team portal back to base, and then the original portal takes them to, okay, cool. So we're on the same page there. Thank you, Oddball. Appreciate that. So what next? What's the next most important thing? Because I want to make sure that the most important stuff is at the front in case they give up. They're like, oh, I get it, and they move on. I want them to have seen the stuff that really matters, and then some of the more peripheral stuff, if they get to it, great. If not, it's not like it's the end of the world. So after that, probably elements or block, like offense and defense. I don't know. Kind of torn. Gates, bombs, and boosts. I think gates and bombs should go together because they can both be relevant for buttons, and buttons aren't super intuitive at the start, like knowing that they do different things. So I think that, and because we also have to show them that some buttons are on timers, some of them are permanent. Like it's not super clear which buttons do what from the start. So yeah, I think third portal, button, focused, gates and bombs. Chat message to roll over the button next to your ball, and then that button will be connected to a bomb that explodes. Which detonates. Collisions with that bomb, should they be disabled or enabled? Because my concern is that if they, oh no, let's put the bomb behind a wall. Ensure bomb is behind a wall and cannot be rolled into. Cannot be rolled into. Okay, that's good. At the same time, maybe showing how returns work would be more important, since you said dummy balls would be possible. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably right. All right, that's fourth portal. All right, third portal. enemy ball holding flag. Probably random key presses, moving in a circle maybe. Chat message. Chase the enemy flag carrier to return the flag to your base. The map would have to be a small version of half of a map. So the enemy flag is not grabbable. Does that make sense? Because you want them to, yeah, you have the player moving around. They have to chase them down. Hopefully we don't make it too hard for them. But we just have to get cut off so that they can't go to the other side and just grab the other flag. That wouldn't work. I think that probably gets the point across well enough. We'd have to do the same thing for neutral flag as well. So for neutral flag, though, we can have the end zone still. So could neutral flag be, like, could the second portal and the fourth portal actually be the same thing? Where we go, first portal is capture the flag. We show them grab the flag, bring it back. Second portal, we show them if they have your flag, chase them around and get them. And then third portal, chase them around and get them, but neutral flag version, and also have them bring it to the end zone and also do the team portal. I think that's actually a bit more concise, which is good. So I'm going to bring that down to here. I think that, yeah, I like this order better. Oops. So just to go over that one more time. They spawn into a small version of a map. They have to grab a flag and bring it back. Then they spawn into half of that same map. The map is half of the same map as Portal 1. And then they have to get them to go back. And then same idea as above, but with a neutral flag to an end zone. Flag starts with an enemy player who needs to be chased. Then after catching them and stealing the flag, a message to bring the flag to the enemy end zone. And then after capture, have them pass the team portal, which takes them back. Which takes the player back to the exit portal they entered through to be consistent. Yeah, so that's good. So show them how capture the flag works. Show them how chasing works. Show them how neutral flag chasing and capturing works together. So you're kind of condensing things from the previous, integrating it into the next one. And then we can shift over to buttons and all that. If you want it to be fancy, have the exact same map from the first portal, but with an enemy with the flag. The objective is still capture the flag, so they learn if the flag is out of base that you can't cap. Oh, that's a really good point. We do have to talk about that too. Would that be better? Is that too high level early on? Yeah, that's a really good point. I think what I lean toward with that one, though, is integrating it with the button approach. Because, yes, we want them to see that they cannot capture it, but I would prefer that we do something like the flag carrier is inside of a gate and they have to roll over a button to pop them, and then they can capture the flag, just to kind of show that popping the flag carrier is possible, and then that's how you capture it. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, kissing would be fine, but I was worried that it's a little bit too high level right from the start. Because if like at that point in the third portal or second portal, they just established that grabbing the flag and bringing it back is good. Like, and I can see what you're saying. I don't disagree. don't disagree. Like, yeah, kissing would be fine, but we want it to be structured. We don't want it to be too open. I think they'll figure out kissing on their own. I don't think we really need to make that clear, because when you go from kissing, now what? They've popped and they respawn, but like I don't know. I don't love prioritizing that just yet. I'm gonna write out what I'm thinking, and then I might decide that I hate it and go with your idea. But so we're gonna say the same mini haste map, or same mini map, we'll say, with bombs. Well, that map has bomb buttons and gates on it, so that's good. Bombs, gates, and buttons. So first thing we want to show them is that there are two different ways to defuse a bomb. It's by walking into it or by pressing a button. So we want a chat message. So yeah, chat message to roll over the button next to your ball, and that detonates a bomb inside of a wall. Then roll into the bomb. Bomb is exposed and detonates on contact. And then we want them to grab the enemy flag. So for all of this in the background, our flag has been grabbed and is out. We want that flag carrier waiting on a gate to be spiked by them pressing the button. So we say grab the enemy flag and bring it back to capture. But when they do so, the enemy is holding their own flag and waiting on a gate. So the flag cannot be captured. Then it's a new message that says the enemy is holding your flag, so you cannot capture it. Press the button to activate a gate and pop their ball, or something like that. All this wording is going to go through a bunch of people before it's actually finalized, so let's just get the concept down. Enemies holding your flag, so you cannot capture it. Press the button to activate a gate and pop their ball is fine for now. Flag is returned. Player scores. Exit portal opens. So that's that. Sorry, I missed a chat message from you here. Either way would be fine. The only way to know for sure is to make a mock-up and get some noobs to try it. Yeah, that's, yeah, very, very, very fair point. Good. Yep. Okay. So that covers capture the flag. We've got grabbing the flag and bringing it back. We've got chasing. We've got neutral flag, chasing and bringing it to the end zone. Now we've got bombs working via buttons. We've got bombs working via direct contact. Should we remove that part? We should probably remove that part and have it be with other things. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this and have it just be the button focus. So roll over the button next to your ball. The bomb detonates, and probably detonates in a way that sends them the player into the enemy base, into or toward, just to make things more fluid for them. Sure, bomb is behind a wall and cannot be rolled into directly. Chat message to grab the enemy flag and bring it back to capture, but when they do so, the enemy is holding their own flag and waiting on a gate. So we'd have to put the button. So in order to do this right here, I'm just thinking about the technical side of it. have the enemy FC on a friendly gate tile surrounded by other, probably on a neutral gate tile. Neutral gate tiles surrounded by gate tiles, so the tutorial player cannot tag them, and have the button connected to all of those gates be FC colored until the tutorial player grabs the flag. So basically we don't want them to skip steps, right? Tutorial. So we're saying that you can see the flag carrier there from the start, but you can't do anything about it because the button to pop them is hidden behind the gate. And we're just using some cheating to say that once they grab the flag like we told them to, now that button is something they can roll over, which would then pop the flag carrier so they can cap. So that's just an easier implementation on our end. It's just fewer moving parts because all you have to do is have one gate change color when they grab a flag, which is super trivial for us to do on the back end. So that's covered there. So that whole section now, we're just going to go over it again. We're covering, they spawn in and there is a button. We show them that a button works for a bomb. Then we show them that they cannot capture the flag if the enemy has their own flag. And then buttons also work for gates. And then gates can pop flag carriers. So that covers 4 things in a way that isn't too aggressive, I don't think. It's just kind of the natural progression. But again, like you said, well, if we put this up and people are like, I have no idea what's going on, then we'll go back to the drawing board on that part of it. I think that is good enough for that section. So the 5th portal, now we can start to get into some of the elements and what they do. So I think we'll start with the bomb. Start chat message. Bombs can also be activated, also be detonated directly. Roll into it. Roll in this one to try it out, I guess. And then after they do, maybe open up a gate. Disables a gate to a boost or something, like a boosting tunnel, just like a tunnel with a, because we want to show them their team boosts and regular boosts is my thing. So I think first few boosts are team boosts for the other team. Is that wrong? What order would you put those in? Would you do neutral first, then enemy, then friendly? Or would you do enemy first to show they don't work, and then team in neutral to show that they do? Which one is more intuitive, would you think, for a new player? Because you're going to see neutral boosts more than you're going to see anything else. So my gut tells me to just start there, but they're also pretty straightforward. Like, it's not that hard to understand that a boost is a boost. The hard part to understand is that some boosts don't work and others do. But then, is that important enough to do in a tutorial? Like, are they going to just figure that out as they go? I think I would start with maybe like a mighty tunnel. Is that too stupid? I see neutral boosts in my dreams. Like, what if we just did like a mighty kind of thing where we had the first half of it be their color in neutral and they can see, it's shooting me through or whatever, but then it just transitions to an only enemy boost and then they slow down and they can see that it's not actually doing anything. Is that Is that clear? Is that confusing? I don't know. I'm gonna say boost tunnel. Starts with alternating, friendly, and neutral boosts. Maybe in a mighty orientation. Then transitions to an only enemy toon boost section so they can see nothing happens on those. Then transition back and send them out the exit portal back to the start. I think that's pretty straightforward there. Okay, so that covers bombs and boosts. Sixth portal. We're probably running out of portals here before this becomes too long of a tutorial. We've got boosts and bombs covered. We've got portals covered. We don't have spikes covered. We have not covered team tiles either. We got gates. We got buttons. So what's next? We got to get power-ups. We got to get spikes and maybe team tiles. Those are probably not as critical. Gates, buttons, bombs, boosts, portals are all covered. Timing. So I think this is being covered implicitly with the way that we're having them move around, so we don't need to worry too much about that. We've covered this. We have not covered regrab. Regrab is tough. Regrab is very tough. I don't really know where you add that in, because technically you're not doing anything on regrab, so you're basically just telling them, wait here, don't move, which is not exactly interactive from a tutorial standpoint. So maybe we would have to have it would have to be a situation where we tell them to go to regrab, and then as they're getting there, we have the flag spawn so they can kind of see it pop up. I don't know, that's a tricky one. I think that would have to go with not first portal, maybe second portal. I don't know. Probably fourth portal then? Let's see, with the fourth portal we have them hitting a button, then it's just not intuitive. Like you're saying go to the other side of the map. All they know about the other side of the map is that's where you go to grab the flag. So you would have to have another teammate waiting on the flag tile with the flag. Okay, yeah, that's gotta be it. So it's gonna be roll over the button bombs them away, grab the enemy flag and bring it back to capture. But then a couple things here. When they arrive in the enemy base, a teammate is holding the flag already. Chat message, your teammate already has the flag. Wait on the flag tile to regrab it when they pop. Oops. And then teammate immediately runs into a spike when the player gets to the tile. That way they're not waiting there, because we don't want them waiting around for something to happen. So it's say, okay, get to the regrab tile, they get there, and then their teammate spikes and they get it. And then we can continue and say, chat message, bring the flag back for a capture. But when they arrive in their own base, the enemy is holding their flag and waiting on a gate, so the flag cannot be captured yet. This is probably under the same. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So I think that covers it. So we're saying you spawn in, you say, okay, here's a button, press the button detonates a bomb. That sends them over to the other base. In the other base, we say grab the flag, but when they get there, their teammate is already holding the flag. But we say get on the regrab tile, their teammate spikes, they get the flag instead, bring it back to capture. They try to do that. They can't because the enemy has their flag. We show them how to pop the enemy, then they capture, then they leave. That's a lot of stuff, but it's the 4th portal, so I think it's okay by then. I don't know. That's the one I'm not... That might be a little bit dense, but it's important stuff too. So we'll keep it in for now. And if we need to go back through that later, we can. But I don't know. I feel like it might work. We'll find out. We'll find out. It's good enough for now. All right, 5th portal, element focused. We got the bomb thing, the boost tunnel. That's fine. Okay, back to up here. We've got... Like, we sort of covered chasing there. It's not perfect. I don't know. Yeah, power-up types are probably the next thing we need to do. Oh, we could do chasing with power-ups. Those could go together. Power-up. Focus. I think we'd need to have... tunnel, and at the start of the tunnel is a Tag Pro power-up, and then they get into a little chamber with all enemies, and there's nowhere for the enemies to go, so they can just kind of run around and pop a bunch of them. And when they get like 10 tags, then a green gate turns to a red gate and they can leave or whatever. Start in a tunnel, chat message, grab the Tag Pro power-up ahead of you. Grabbing the pup turns a green gate to a friendly color that the player can pass through into a small chamber filled with enemy players. Chat message. This power-up allows you to pop the enemy if you can catch them. Pop 10 or 5 maybe. 5 to unlock the next room or something like that. That's kind of changing the vibe of what we're going for, but that's fine. And then after 5 are popped, open another gate to another room. With the rolling bomb, that one's kind of hard to show people without, I don't know, you don't want to have them spike themselves. That's not the point. But you don't want to just have, like, you want them to know it's more than just a space bar too. How do you teach a player that a thing they have stops them from dying without trying to kill them? I'm not sure. Like, you'd want them to, Like you can't do like an obstacle course. Oh yeah, green gate. Boom. That's perfect. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we needed. Okay. Sorry, I just yelled way too loud. Yes. So we want them to grab a rolling bomb. Show that it grants gate immunity to progress to the final room. That's fantastic. Thank you. And then the third one, the juke juice, that can be the chasing one. The third room offers a juke juice, a friendly flag tile, and an enemy flag carrier. The juke juice is great for chasing. Catch the enemy to return the flag to your base. Oh, I'm so happy you thought of that gate thing. That's perfect. Space bars, whatever. I'm less concerned about that one. Catch the enemy to return the flag to your base. Oh, I forgot the chat message for the rolling bomb because I was too excited. After catching them, exit portal opens. Yep. Okay. Rolling bomb. Chat message. The rolling bomb protects you anytime you would otherwise be popped. Pass through the gate to give it a try. Okay, that's good. And then, do we need a 7th portal? Does that cover everything? We've got power-ups. We've got boosts. We didn't cover spikes or team tiles. I feel like you kind of figure out spikes pretty quickly in your first game because you hit them and you die. But maybe just a little obstacle course with team tiles and spikes just so they can kind of... That could be the last one. Do we miss any big concepts here? We got regrab. Yeah, we didn't cover this. This is less important. We got this. We got this. We didn't cover this, but that's more of a next level thing. We got this. We didn't cover 2 players. We did cover chasing players, which is probably enough. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We didn't really get the delays on power-ups. Make them do a 1-minute spike maze map to get into the first game. Yeah, it's just rude. I think we can give them a little obstacle course of team tiles and spikes, but like make it like 2 or 3 wide so it's not hard. Spike maze, 2-3 tiles wide on a mixture of team tiles and regular floor tiles. Chat message. Don't touch the spikes. Yellow floor tiles. Oops. Yellow floor tiles and floor tiles matching your ball color. Grant an acceleration boost. And then just have the exit portal is visible on the other side of the maze. I think that's it. So let's run through the start to finish, see if we missed anything important. I mean, we missed a couple things, but I'm also not sure how to add them in. But that covers those two. We got all three of these. So things that we missed are power-ups being delayed and spawning every minute. I don't have a great answer for how to show those. We got that. We got everything except for the higher level things. Yeah, I think I'm fine with the stuff that we left out, personally. So to take it from the top. So you are a new player. You click play tutorial. You load into a map that looks somewhat to the tune of Boost Hub, where you spawn into the middle and it's got little options around it. There's only one portal open. You go in through the only open portal. When you get there, it's a small version of a map, kind of like Haste, maybe, or something to that. Something like this, where it's just a smaller version of a regular map they might see, but take away everything that's not a wall or a flag tile. We say, go grab that flag and bring it back. They do that. When they do that, a portal opens back up. They can go back to that main hub that we started from, and another one opens up. In that one, there's a ball moving around holding a neutral flag. They have to chase that flag carrier down and then bring that flag to the other side of the map, to the end zone tile, where they then also have to go through a team portal, which brings them back to the start of the map, where they can then go through the exit portal that they entered through. Then the third portal opens up and the other ones close. It's the same. Oh wait, sorry, I skipped a step. It's a capture the flag in the second portal, or we're chasing them around to tag them. And then when we tag them, the exit portal opens up. The third portal is what I just described with the neutral flag. Fourth portal, they spawn in and there's a bomb behind a wall and a button. They're supposed to roll over the button, which will bomb them across the map to the other side. On the other side, their teammate is waiting on the flag tile and starts to move away. When they get there, they get a chat message to grab the flag and then to wait on the regrab tile once they can see their teammate. And then once they get to the regrab tile, their teammate will pop. They will grab the flag and they will be told to bring it back to capture, just like they did in the first portal, because it's on the same map, so they can see the same idea. But then when they get there, they can't capture it because the enemy has their flag. So they need to press a button that is opened up to activate a gate, which pops that player, and then they can capture the flag. So we're showing them gates and buttons, and also showing them that the flag needs to be in base at the same time. Still think that one might be a little bit much, but we'll see how it plays out. So that once they capture that flag, then it opens up the portal again. They can go back. And the fifth one, we can give them another bomb in a little room. Once they hit that bomb, it detonates, and then a gate opens up that they can go through, which has a boost tunnel. The boost tunnel starts with their team color and neutral boosts in like a mighty orientation, so it kind of shoots them around through one of these guys, so they can see that they're moving quickly and they can't stop it. Then that boost transitions to just enemy boosts, so they can see that there's a certain color of boost that does nothing because it's only for the other team to use. And then that continues down back to an exit portal that takes them back to the start. And then at the start again, in the second to last portal opens up. When they go in, there's a power up. It's a Tag Pro. When they grab the Tag Pro, it turns a green gate into their team's color so they can go through. There are a bunch of players in there they have to pop. Once they pop enough of them, another gate opens up that they can pass through. Sorry to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry about that. So once they go through that portal, that gate, then it takes them to a rolling bomb. They can grab the rolling bomb, and there's a green gate that does not change color, and a message that tells them to go through that gate so they can see that the rolling bomb is protecting them, even though normally they would be popped by the thing that's in front of them. In that final room, it's actually the same map that they started on, so maybe that little haste, they go back basically into this, and they can see from there that a teammate has their flag. They get a juke juice, and they're supposed to chase that person down and tag them. Once they catch them, that portal opens back up, they go back to the start, and the final phase is a pretty easy spike maze where it's just 2 or 3 tiles wide on a mixture of team tiles, enemy team tiles, and regular floor tiles, so they can see the difference between all of them as they travel around those spikes to the final portal. And then they are done. We should probably also award some kind of flair for completing the trial. Let's say other thoughts. Flair awarded for completing tutorial, even for non-new players, as an added incentive. We should probably also, I'll have to run this one by the mod team, mark certain IP addresses or accounts as must complete tutorial, which blocks them from entering the queue until they have done so. I wouldn't make that for everybody. I think we could just, like, there occasionally a case comes up where it's like this player just clearly has no idea what is going on and they are ruining every game, and it's not malicious. They just don't know what to do. So we would just say, all right, you're done. You're probably a younger kid. We need you to go through this before you can play again. I'm not sure if we're going to do that or not, but I want to at least have it written down in case we decide that that's worth doing in the future. Any other thoughts from the chat? I've had a good number of you watching this whole time, so if you have any opinions, feel free to let me know before we wrap things up here. Most of the viewers on these streams do come from the recording on the tail end, so if you are one of the 100 or so people watching these after the fact, you can always feel free to shoot me some feedback on what you see here. DM on Discord is fine. Reddit otherwise is also okay. Or if you want to drop in on a Friday and say something, please do. But this is all stuff we're looking for feedback on as we go. This is a thing we're going to submit as a ticket internally. I can't promise when it would be prioritized, but I'm glad that we kind of got this on paper or on the computer so that we can get to it eventually. So I think that concludes what I had planned for today. Are there any lingering questions from the 7 of you watching here that I can answer for you, or shall we wrap up? Get casual games behind the tutorial for brand new IPs. Yeah, we could. I think that's the kind of thing that we'll wait and see. Most IP addresses who join, even if they're new and bad, they at least understand the basic premise. So I'm not super keen to make it the default for everybody, but we could consider it if it's becoming a problem for sure. We could have that option. Yeah, hopefully not more than 5 or 10 minutes. I think the goal for this would be maximum 4 or 5 minutes, and then straight into the next game is fine. I think I'm okay with that. Oh, a bunch of people just joined right at the end. Nice. Anyone who just joined, feel free to watch the recording back. We went through a bunch of development updates today. That took a good half hour to cover everything that's been worked on the past week. We went through the rest of the Canny board posts, kind of talking about requests that have come in, marking them as planned or stuff that was going to happen in the future or is in progress right now, like ranked flares. And then for the last hour or so, we've been talking about an interactive tutorial, kind of walking through what we think should be prioritized for new players, what they need to see in order to be ready for their first Tag Pro game. So we've been going for a good 2 hours here. I thought it was a pretty productive stream, but we're just about wrapping up unless anybody has any last second questions. So make sure I'm not missing anything on Discord here. Oh, looks like we're good. So again, thank you everyone who tuned in. Appreciate the feedback as we go through this stuff. And I think for next week, it's probably going to be the same thing. I did get the ability on Twitch to schedule specific start times. So if it's not going to be exactly at 1, it will say what the time is going to be that day. I'm still going to try for 1 as often as possible, still on Fridays and all that. But if you tune in at 1 o'clock and I'm not there, just check the scheduled time. It might be a couple minutes later every once in a while. So without further ado, I'm going to go work on some other stuff. But thanks again for tuning in, and I will talk to you all later.